Hi everybody. Tonight we're going to make a sourdough sponge for waffles tomorrow morning. I got myself this new AllClad Waffle Maker and I really hope it lives up to the hype. It's supposed to be one of the best ones out there. So let's get started. Here's my sourdough starter. She's been sitting in the fridge for about a week. See how nice and lively she is? We'll be using a cup of this starter, and then I'll feed it, and I'll be baking some loaves of bread for Thanksgiving. Watch how nicely this comes down. Do you see how wonderfully elastic she is? I've been working with this starter for several years now. I got the basic little jar from a King Arthur flour baking site, and I'll link that in the comments below. We'll also be following the recipe for King Arthur flour overnight sourdough waffles or pancakes. I really prefer waffles with this recipe, that come out of this recipe. So let's go. Easy peasy. 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Again, I find that there really is a difference in the flour that you use. I have a real preference for King Arthur flour. After that, Heckers. Less fond of store brands of flour. They often are inconsistent and leave you with a heavy crumb on whatever it is that you're baking. So, 2 cups of flour. 2 generous tablespoons of sugar, and 1 cup of sourdough starter. And I just eyeball what I think is a cup. And that's about right. You'll get the feel of your sourdough starter the longer you bake with it and as you use it more. I'm hearing all of you sourdough perfectionists gasp at how casual I am with my sourdough measurements and with my starter. It's not such an exact science. Remember, the pioneers traveled with their sourdough starter in the back of their stagecoach. So I'm not so committed to treating it as if it's a delicate flour. More, it's the hard workhorse of a bread baking community. So we did 2 cups of flour, 2 generous tablespoons of sugar, a cup of sourdough starter or sourdough discard, and 2 cups of buttermilk. I prefer making my own buttermilk. I have 2 cups of A2 2% milk, and I've added the juice of a lemon and let it sit on the counter for about 15 minutes. It's thick, it's curdled, and to my taste, it makes one of the finest sourdough sponges for the waffles. Now let's mix this all up. I'm using a tool it's a bread whisk. I've had it for quite a while, and I just love the way it works in this old pottery bowl. You might recognize this bowl from some of my other posts. This was my grandmother's bowl. She baked and mixed everything in it, and I just love it, and I'm just happy to have it in the kitchen. It makes me smile every time I use it. So, whipping this around, whisking it around until there are just very few lumps. And the sponge is ready to sit for the night. I'm going to cover this with some plastic wrap. Then I'm going to wrap it in a towel because tonight it's supposed to be about 32 degrees here in New York. And I really don't want this to get a chill. I'd like it to rise and be nice and fluffy for the morning bake in our new waffle iron. Now tomorrow morning we'll be adding 2 eggs, some baking soda, and about a 1/4 cup of oil. We're going to mix the whole thing together and let it bubble for a little bit until it's light and fluffy. And then we'll measure it out, and waffles for breakfast. Good morning. Time to finish the waffles. Here's the towel that I wrapped it in. And I have these reusable wax-coated covers, and I really like them. So let's set that aside. Look how nicely it's bubbled up. You should smell it too. It has a really fresh fragrance. We're going to add 2 eggs, a 1/4 cup of oil, a teaspoon of baking soda, teaspoon of vanilla, and whoosh it around and then let it bubble. Here we go. Here are my eggs. I'm using fresh pressed sunflower oil. It makes the waffles less dense than if you melt some butter. You could use butter. You could use any other flavorless oil. I think olive oil would make them a completely different savory waffle. And that's not what I'm looking for today. Today I'm looking for a sweet waffle. It's going to be breakfast. It will turn out to be a Belgian waffle. Maybe with some fruit, some whipped cream, maybe even some of my friend Christine's fabulous, incredible maple syrup. We'll talk about that another day. All right, so here's a teaspoon of vanilla, which I did forget to mention to you. I get this in large containers because we do use a lot of it. There you go. So that's oil, 2 eggs, and a little bit of vanilla. Let's push that around. And let me set this aside. Move this into the screen. Here's my whisk again. Let's incorporate this. What a beautiful batter. The ready light is on, and it made a little beep. So let's give this a shot. I'm using a 1/2 cup measure. And look how delightful the batter is. It's all bubbly. Let's see what happens. I wish you could smell it, because man alive, is it luscious. I'm going to scoop this out. We may need more batter than this. Nice capacity. Let's see how far it goes. All right. Here we go. They say it will take about 5 minutes. I'll be back. Here's the first waffle. Let's see how it came out. Whoa. Nice. I have it on between 5 and 6. I think that's a little much. I'm going to brush it with some oil, a little bit more of the sunflower oil. I don't really think it needs it, but following directions here. All right, let's see. The beeper just went off. All right, this is a little bit light colored, but wow, it's crisp. It feels pretty good. I think the setting that I want is going to fall somewhere between 5 and 6. So let's give it a chance. I'll measure out the next bit. And I believe I'd like it to be a generous 1/2 cup, because that other was a little skimpy around the edges. Okay, Lights on. Yeah, let's give it a whirl. Here we go. Get all of it. Spread. All right, this looks pretty good to me. Close. And the hardest part about this is waiting. Well, I've raised the setting on the waffle iron to 6, and I've changed out the tool. Let's see if this is a more efficient way to do it and a better amount. So this is a 1/2 cup ladle, and seems to fill all of the little nooks and crannies completely. The last waffle that came out was just about close to perfect. See? All right, let's wait and see what happens. I wonder if you could see this, the steam that's coming out of the side of the waffle iron. We finally came to perfect timing and perfect toasting. I have the waffle iron set at 6. It isn't hard to adjust it. It's hard to decide what you want the setting to be. So for us, it's 6 and a scoop, a 1/2 cup scoop. So here's what we've got. These were the early waffles. You see the difference in color and see how flexible they are? They are cooked thoroughly through, but they weren't toasted on the outside. These are going to be good to freeze because when you warm them again, either in the toaster or the oven, they will crisp up and they won't become overdone. These will also get frozen, but look what happened when we understood the timing and the temperature. Crisp, fully cooked, ready to be eaten immediately. And the smell is incredible. This was the very last waffle. I left it in a little bit longer because I think I'm going to save this one for a snack later this morning. Maybe I'll rub some peanut butter on it, maybe some Nutella. Yum. I'm looking forward to that snack with a cup of tea. So, happy waffling.